You're listening to Bedtime Stories with Mika J, a space to slow down, breathe deep, and fall asleep to stories that speak to your soul. But tonight's story isn't here to comfort you, it's here to make you listen closer to the silence, to the timing, to the sound of your own voice, even when you don't remember speaking. This is the voicemail. Close your eyes. Raina Cross didn't believe in second chances. She believed in survival, in staying low, staying quiet, and making it to the next shift. She used to be a cop. Now she worked the graveyard shift as a security guard for one of those fancy downtown towers with more glass than brick and more secrets than tenants. Friday night, 7:43 p.m. She sat in the guard booth sipping vending machine coffee, scrolling through news she didn't care about on a phone she never really liked. Then it buzzed. Once. One new voicemail. No missed call. Just the voicemail. She stared at it, confused. That shouldn't be possible. The sender? Her own number. Time stamped 9:47 p.m. But her phone read 7:43 p.m. Raina sat up, tapped play, held it to her ear. He's in the room. He's in the room. He's in the room. She dropped the phone just for a second. Her hand was sweating. She replayed it. Same voice, same fear, same timestamp, 9:47 p.m. That was over 2 hours ahead. The message hadn't happened yet. She checked her call history. Nothing. No outgoing or incoming from herself. Checked her recorder app. Nothing saved. No app glitches, no spoofed numbers, just a message from her own voice, from the future. Raina Cross was not the kind of woman who jumped at shadows. She had cleared houses, arrested armed suspects, dragged bleeding bodies from wrecks. But this was something different. She stepped out of the booth. Night air, cool. Too quiet for a city. The high rise behind her shimmered like a black mirror. 40 floors of tinted windows and people pretending to be asleep. And somewhere inside was a version of her screaming. She climbed the lobby stairs, swiped her badge, took the elevator to floor 26, the executive penthouses. Only 3 tenants lived there. None of them were home. That's what the front desk had told her hours ago. Still, something felt off. The hallway was dark. One light flickered near unit 2603. The carpet was wet, not soaked, just damp, like something heavy had been dragged across it. She crouched down, touched the floor, looked at her hands. They were red. Blood? No, too thin. Paint? But who paints a hallway in the dark? She pulled out her flashlight. The beam landed on the door of 2603. The door was cracked open, just slightly. Inside, total darkness. She knocked once. No answer. Then again. Still, nothing. Raina says to herself, "You got 2 hours to figure out why you're about to scream." She pushed the door open, stepped inside, closed it behind her, waited, listened, silence. Then her phone buzzed. Another message, same number, same voice, new timestamp, 9:51 p.m. She didn't press play, not yet, because she wasn't alone in the room. She could feel it, breathing, somewhere near the corner, close to the floor. Not moving, just there, waiting. Raina didn't speak, didn't move. She just listened. The air in the room had shifted, heavier now. Not hot, just full, like it had a weight of its own. She tightened the grip on her flashlight, switched her phone to silent, stepped forward just once, and that's when it crackled. Not loud, not sharp, just a soft fizz, like someone whispering through broken radio wires. It wasn't coming from her phone. It was coming from the floor vent near the far wall. She crouched down slowly, pointed the flashlight toward the vent cover. Dust, scratches, and a thin trail of something black dripping from the corner, like old ink or dried up blood, left too long in silence. The static grew louder, and underneath it, a voice. Her voice, soft, choked, looping the same phrase. I told you. I told you not to come in here. I told you. I told you not to come in here. I told. Raina stood up fast, stepped back. She was trained, but this wasn't a break-in. This wasn't a drug deal gone wrong. This was something else. Something inside the space between time and sound. She turned to leave. She had closed the door when she came in, locked it even. That was protocol. But now, the deadbolt was undone, and the chain which she knew she latched was swinging loose like someone had just slipped out. She didn't feel a draft. She was confused. And then her phone lit up. 9:58 p.m., 11 minutes ahead of the first voicemail, still 2 hours in the future. She stared at the screen. Her thumb hovered over play. She didn't want to hear it because whatever it was closer than before. But she pressed it anyway. I tried. I swear I tried. It was too late. He was already here. I should have.
You shouldn't be here.
She dropped the phone. This time it cracked, and so did the room. One of the picture frames on the far wall slid off its hook and shattered on the floor. The lights flickered twice. Then a soft creak, like someone stepping out of a shadow. Raina didn't wait. She reached for the doorknob, twisted it hard. It opened. She bolted into the hallway, closed the door behind her, and leaned against it with both palms flat, like she was holding something in. Down the hall, the elevator dinged, but she hadn't pressed it. And when it opened, there was no one inside, just her reflection, flickering, blurred, staring back at her from a different angle than she was standing. Back in the booth, she stared at the screen. 3 voicemails, all from herself, all from the future, and the last one, still unread. Still waiting. 10:04 p.m. She reached for it slowly. Then the phone buzzed again. But this time, it was a call. Incoming. Unknown. The call came in at 8:06 p.m. Unknown. No number. No location. Just that soft, endless buzz you feel in your chest before something changes. Raina didn't answer right away. She stared at the screen as if she was playing a game with her phone to see who would blink first. But the phone didn't blink. It just waited, buzzing, buzzing, and then silence. No voicemail, no disconnect tone, just nothing. But when she opened her call log, something was there. Not a number, not a contact, just one word, glowing, faint, impossible. It read, you. She didn't save that. She didn't even type that. Didn't even download an app. But it was there, right beneath the last message. It read, you, 8:06 p.m. Duration, 0 hours and 0 minutes. She hit redial, put her phone on speaker, and then stepped back into the elevator. The doors closed. The sound echoed like metal around a prayer. On the 3rd ring, someone picked up, but they didn't speak. They breathed, long, heavy, rhythmic, as if matching her heartbeat on purpose. Then her own voice came through. Don't go to the 12th floor. He waits on 12. You still have time. Too late. The door slid open before she could stop them. No button was pressed. The elevator decided for her. The 12th floor smelled like wet paint and lemon cleaner, but there were no signs of construction. No carts, no buckets, no footprints, only one door open, just barely. Apartment 1206. Inside, darkness, but not empty. She knew that feeling, that weight in the air, that pressure on her skin like static before a storm. She stepped off the elevator anyway. The hallway light flickered. 1, 2, then out. Only the glow of her phone lit the path. She reached the doorway, held her breath, listened, and then, from inside the apartment, another voicemail. 10:04 p.m. It hadn't happened yet, but this one came sooner. She played it. He's not coming because he's already here. And the problem with chasing time is sometimes it catches you first. She noticed her own voice. It was calm this time, but wrong. And that laugh, it wasn't her laugh. It was a man, low, slow, like a secret toad backwards. She spun around, flashlight raised, and there, behind her, in the hallway she just walked through, it was a man she never seen before, sitting at the end of the hallway, facing the wall, still, and far too still to be real. And she took one step toward him, and he vanished, just gone. No sound, no trace, not even a shadow. Raina backed into the elevator, pressed L for lobby, pressed it again, and again. The button stayed lit, but the elevator didn't move. The panel screen flickered, turned black. Then one line of text scrolled across. You were warned. Raina pressed the button again. Nothing. Then again, still nothing. Finally, with a deep mechanical groan, the elevator began to move. But it didn't descend. It went up. Past 12, 13, 14, still climbing. She watched, heart tight, and the glowing numbers rose. 21, 22, 23. She braced herself, not for what she'll see, but what she'll feel. Then, floor 27. But there was no 27. Not in this building, not on the panel, not in any blueprint she had ever seen. The elevator paused, longer than it should have, like it was waiting for her to understand that something had changed. Then, the door slid open. What she saw was impossible. Not a hallway, not a room, a mirror. Wall to wall, ceiling to floor, a perfect reflection. Only, it wasn't quite hers. She stepped forward, the glass fogging slightly with her breath. And in the reflection, she saw herself, but wrong. Same clothes, same posture, but her reflection was smiling. And her hands, well, her hands were bloody. Raina didn't move, but the reflection did. It raised a hand and pressed it against the other side of the glass. Then it mouthed something Raina couldn't quite hear, but felt. Oh, hell nah. She stumbled back into the elevator, slamming the closed door button over and over until the elevator lurched downward, falling fast, too fast. The lights cut out. The floor display vanished, dark, silent, heavy. And then another voicemail. 10:11 p.m. Her hand shook as she pressed play. Stop digging. Stop asking. Not everything wants to be found. Not everything wants to be fixed. Then silence, except a second voice. A child, small, fragile, barely a whisper. She promised she wouldn't leave us again. But Raina had no children, none alive anyway, and certainly no one who could speak from floors that didn't exist. She blinked, and the elevator was opened again. Back in the lobby, the lights were bright. The front desk man smiled like nothing had happened. He looked at her, and he said,
Raina, Are you ready for your 9:47 appointment?
Raina blinked and the elevator was opened again. Back in the lobby. Bright lights, clean air, no static, no blood, no reflection. But her badge was gone and so was her weapon. But her phone was in her hand, lit up like it never left. And the front desk man, he was just smiling like none of it never happened.
Raina,
He said, hands folded gently in front of him.
you're right on time for your 9:47 appointment.
Her eyes stung. Her skin tingled. The time on the wall clock blinked in red. 9:47 p.m. But she hadn't called for an appointment. She didn't even know that she was still in the building. She looked back at the elevator behind her. The doors were closed. No one had entered. No one had exited. No cameras. No concierge. She took a step toward the desk. The man slid a clipboard forward.
Sign in, Miss Cross.
Her hand reached for the pen, but then Raina Whitlock, that's the name printed in black ink. That's not my name. The man's smile grew wider.
Of course. Paperwork mix up. Happens all the time.
Raina backed away. Her heels echoed in the empty lobby. Through the glass doors, the street looked different. It didn't look like it belonged to her time. She pushed through and stepped outside. There were no cars, no headlights, just a cool breeze and rows of faded posters on a nearby light pole. She leaned closer. One flyer fluttered free, yellowed at the edges. She caught it in midair. Missing person. Her face stared back, younger, thinner, but it was definitely her. Name, Raina Whitlock. Last seen, October 17, 2017. Escape patient, Brookshire Behavior Institution. Below it read, may respond to the name Raina Cross, diagnosed with delusional disorder, blackout episodes. She may even believe that she's a detective. Approach with caution. Her hands trembled. She clutched the flyer. The streetlights buzzed. Across the road, something shimmered in the air like a mirage. It flickered, then sharpened. A glass door, the same lobby, but this time burnt, blackened. Ash on the walls, scattered towel. She blinked. It was gone. She turned around. No cabs, no people, just the voice of a child.
Are you going to disappear again, lady?
Raina turned around. She saw a little girl standing nearby with braids, dirty sneakers, and she was hugging a stuffed animal with a missing eye. What did you say? Raina asked. The girl pointed to the flyer.
You've been gone since I was 6 years old. My mama said you was a ghost.
Raina dropped the flyer. She turned and ran back to the building. It was gone. Only a crumbling lot stood in its place now, fenced off, condemned. And there was a sign. It read, Site of Brookshire Behavior Institution, demolished 2019. Her knees buckled. She fell against the fence, gasping. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out. One voicemail. Timestamp, 10:21 p.m. She pressed play. If you're hearing this, you remembered too much.
You're not awake.
Don't trust the man at the desk.
You never were.
Don't trust anyone who calls you Raina.
You're not awake. You never were.
Then silence. She lowered the phone, but something in the puddle beside her rippled. Her reflection wasn't matching her movements anymore. She stepped back. It stepped forward. Now she could see the details. Skin split at the jaw, one eye missing, the other wide open, not blinking. The reflection tilted its head and smiled, and then it raised its hand. Her phone buzzed. Again. New voicemail. No number. Just one word. Run. She heard a sudden rush of footsteps behind her. They were close, too close. The sound echoed against the empty street, growing faster, heavier, like they were sprinting straight at her. She whipped around. Nothing. A breath grazed her neck. Hot. Real.
Raina,
A man's voice murmured low in rage.
you're supposed to stay in the elevator.
Her chest tightened. She stepped back, and her heel hit something solid, not the ground, a shoe. Someone was standing directly behind her. The smell of smoke and iron filled the air. Then a gloved hand slid onto her shoulder and gripped hard. And then blackness. Her legs burned, but she didn't dare stop. The alley twisted ahead like a trap, shadows curling in on themselves. Her phone buzzed in her grip. One word on the cracked screen. Run. She ran harder, past the shuttered storefronts, past flickering street lamps that hummed like they were alive. But then, the footsteps behind her stopped. A cold sting crawled up her neck. The sound wasn't footsteps anymore. It was something being dragged. Her phone buzzed again. Behind you. Her breath caught. She turned and then white hot pain exploded on the back of her head. The world tilted. The phone slipped from her grasp. Blackness. A sharp ringing filled her head. Something heavy pinned it to one side. Her vision spun. Shapes, shadows, blurs. A throbbing pain pulsed in her skull. She touched her head and her fingertips came away wet, warm, sticky. She wasn't outside anymore. The air was stale, too still. She sat up slowly. Dim light flickered above, the sickly hum of a single fluorescent tube. She was in a narrow room with no windows, no visible door. The gray walls felt suffocating. Her phone was gone. Her badge, that was gone too. Her shoes, gone. Cold concrete pressed against her palms. Somewhere above, water dripped. Then, in the far corner, there was a crouched figure that blended with the dark. They were dragging something long, sharp, the tip catching the light. The figure lifted their head. A surgical mask, black gloves, dark unblinking eyes locked on her, and a voice she'd heard before, though she couldn't place it.
Welcome back, Raina.
A sudden burst of energy awakened her. She was back outside, standing on the cracked sidewalk, her phone in her hand, the voicemail still glowing. Run. Her pulse hammered. She spun around, and nothing but the puddle at her feet. It wasn't reflecting the street anymore. It showed a hallway, dim, long, lined with peeling green wallpaper, and halfway down the hallway was a door marked 27. The building only had 26 floors. The image moved toward her until it reached the edge of the water. A single drop splashed onto the pavement. She turned and bolted. Her heels cracked against the ground. Then a voice, calm and male, slid right beside her ear.
You left something upstairs, Raina.
The air thickened. A metallic tang coated her tongue. Blood. In a nearby alley, a shape slumped against the far wall. Detective Hoyt, skin gray, blood dried at his temple. In his hand, her badge.
You're not supposed to see this yet.
The voice said, too close. She spun around, saw nothing. Everything was empty. Then, wet, deliberate boot steps splashing through the same puddle from behind her. Her phone lit up on the ground where she dropped it. New voicemail. No number. She picked it up, pressed play. Her own voice frantic. Don't go to the 27th floor. If you do, you won't come back. Hoyt didn't. Neither did I. At the far end of the cracked pavement, an elevator stood open, its doors revealing the exact hallway from the puddle. The voice on the phone whispered one last word. Choose. And the line went dead. What would you do if you were Raina? Let's find out what happens on the next part of The Voicemail. I hope you sleep well tonight, and I'll see you in the dark. Good night.